And have you noticed athletes using psychedelics to treat traumatic brain injury in particular? And have you noticed benefits from that? We've spoken about the psychological trauma, we've spoken about the spiritual side of things, the physical things. Have you noticed things specifically related to the traumatic brain injury? What do you think is going on there?
So I think it creates, it can do all sorts. It connects different parts of your brain, doesn't it? That maybe
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily speak on a regular, because it shuts different things down. So when I went away to Luara, one of the lasses on there, obviously I won't name names. She had had a lot of traumatic brain injuries, and you could see from her scan. And she'd gone and done ayahuasca a couple of years ago with the same. So there was Onaya science and there was neuro enlightenment over there, and I think one was doing brain training, one was like obviously Nige, and then we're doing the research. So she'd had stuff taken 2 years ago at a retreat by neuro enlightenment, and when they went and scanned her brain this time after the ceremonies, like her brain was so much healthier. Like what had been primarily red was like green, and like all the results have come in. And I think just you can see the quality of life it gives people back. And like when people start then going out and treating themselves right, like I met a guy called Clint over there, one of the nicest people I've ever met. And me and him have a very similar story, very similar life. It's almost like we've lived parallel lives on different
Yeah,
sides of the world. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But he'd gone in with traumatic brain injury and concussions, and he's done plant medicine and loads healthier for it. Um,
Amazing.
and I know athletes' journey home have took fighters away, and it's helped them with like their Parkinson's. It's helped them
Mm.
with like all sorts of different mechanics. So I think it's not just like, I think it can range from something small to really big problems out. And I think like honestly, I don't ever get lost for words, but I'm lost for words because it's such a such a beautiful thing to be able to do that with such a natural plant.
Totally. And Matthew, can you talk a little bit about some of the common things that you see, even either in yourself or with other fighters, when they have traumatic brain injury? How does that usually kind of manifest in your experience?
So I see a lot of fighters I know personally that have addiction problems. The impulse control isn't good. So some people, they get heavy on the drink, they get heavy on the drugs, they lose the impulse control, and they're not able to sort of look after and care for themselves, maybe in the way that they once could or that they should be able to. In my experience, have seen fighters um, microdosing. I've seen fighters doing big doses of whether it's psilocybin, going away on these retreats. I've spoke to a lot of people since we're going on my retreat and shared, like, we've shared different testimonial experiences with each other, and the quality of life in terms of being able to get themselves back, like it's made. Like, I'm a much more present father now. I'm able to sort of look after myself financially and not have to borrow and beg and steal, and I'm able to now have a quality of life I've never had. I've got discipline. I've got aspects of my life covered that years ago I would have prayed to have been in a position I'm in now.
Mm.
I just keep raising the bar a little bit and going a bit more, but that's
Damn straight.
that's what the medicines have allowed me to do. They've allowed me to sort of channel all this energy that I used to use to manipulate, lie, beg, borrow, and steal, and do drugs and commit crimes, in order to now channel that energy into learning, educating people about drugs and alcohol, going to church, learning about God, going in. Like I went into Deerbolt prison to talk to lifers
Mm-hmm.
about finding faith, spirituality, and exercising as a form of like mental health therapy. Like I went into prisons and talked to lifers. Like a few years ago, I thought I was going to be in a prison. You know what I mean? Locked up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's given me a whole new sense of life, and not just a life I could have had beforehand. This is a better quality of life than I ever cared to have imagined myself being able to get.